Hey guys, welcome back. This is Total Fitness Podcast. My name is Matthew.
I'm Walter.
Today we're talking about the legality of PEDs in sports and whether or not they should be legal. So that's part one. And the second part of this debate is if they are legal, should there be an actual limit on what you are taking, what type of drug, or, should you level the playing field? So I'll start this off. And for the first part of this, I say yes, you should make PEDs illegal. Part of my argument will stem from the fact that people are already doing it. You see it all the time with athletes like Lance Armstrong, John Jones. These are just guys that actually get caught. But you know for a fact, and if anybody has ever played a sport at a higher level, not even professional, just above your average beer league, even though in beer leagues it's still a thing, you know that there's a lot of guys that are doing a lot of stuff. So, they want to be better. They want to get, to the top of their game. They want to be competitive. So level the playing fields and just say it's legal for anybody who wants to take it.
Really?
I got more. You got to
Really?
fight. I got more, but you got to fight.
I know. Okay. I'm attorney chair. So I don't know how to answer that. I mean, honestly, before PEDs came into being, people managed to break records, the 4-minute mile, all those things. And for a long time, they weren't broken. And then once they were, human beings adjusted to the fact that it was broken and were able to then go on and go on. And I think that we have the capability with proper training and nutrition. If you treat nutrition as a PED, occasionally you can, then we are able to make the gains that we need to make. We don't need to be Marvel superheroes. And that's what the problem is now. Because of PEDs, bodies are changing, expectations are going up, and it just gets worse and worse. And what then happens is that the kids in the gyms, the guys in the beer leagues, as you speak of, think that they have to do it too. And they don't have to do it too. If they take care of themselves, exercise properly, deal with things properly, then they can still get moderate gains and be the best they can be without having to take something that's illegal, maybe dangerous, although the science wavers on that one. I'll grant you that. But that just allows it to become more of a treadmill. If you can do this with this, then you must be able to do this with this, then you must be able to do this with this. And that becomes dangerous.
Yeah, I hear you out, but I think at some point, you can only optimize the body naturally to a certain point. And unfortunately, there has been so many records that have been broken in recent years. And I'm talking as far back as like the 60s, since Dianabol and all these drugs kind of came onto the market. For a fact people were taking it. For a fact people are cheating their way out of these tests. For a fact people know how to get around it or what to do so they don't have to, show up and basically say on their test results, I'm on something. So that people are doing it, even if it is a natural, if they claim natural or their blood results claim natural. But that's besides the point. What my point is yes, I agree. I think to a certain point, like when you're an athlete, you try to get to your absolute best naturally, but you'll hit a certain point where you can't optimize your body anymore. You can't optimize. There's only so much you can optimize training. There's only so much you can optimize nutrition and sleep. So how do you add in another variable to make sure that you can optimize even higher? And that would be the PEDs. You're basically adding
genetics.
Well, genetics. Well, that's actually another point I have, but I'll let you rebuttal what I just said first, because the genetics portion is like, somebody like Michael Phelps, for example, right? You're looking at Michael Phelps. He has a genetic, what was it? Deficiency in buildup of lactic acid or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's other female athletes who have higher testosterone levels. So they're naturally going to be faster and stronger. So if you're trying to basically show the best you can do at a natural level, you might be limited by your genetics anyways. So to level the playing field, you already are limited, right?
But PEDs don't level the playing field. They change the playing field. So that the person with the most money, the person with the better doctor, the person with whatever is the one who gets it. I would personally rather see, if your genetics take you a little higher, well, that's God. I'm actually saying this. The God-given body that you were given, with whatever it may be, is what you are competing with, not what you've then taken and added to. When do we then reach the point where we say, okay, now that we've done everything we can with PEDs, let's talk about the titanium in your knee? You know, when do we build Steve Rogers?
Rogers. Well,
Yes.
he was the super soldier serum. You could say like RoboCop or something like that.
I'm thinking the $1 million.
Oh, you're talking. I can't remember his last name. It's not Steve Rogers though. That's Captain America.
Yeah,
Besides
you're
the
right.
point, I know what you mean. $6 million man.
$6 million man. Yes. Uh, when does that then start to take over? And you know, android functioning bodies that are better sports people than the ones who are just born and are using PEDs. So I think we have to deal with the fact that we are human beings competing as human beings, not by adding all these other things in, all these other variables.
That's a fair point. But what would you say to the point of, again, you're talking about people who have access to better doctors who can get around these tests and more money to get, the doctors to cheat them out of tests and all that, high level athletes. But what about the person who, again, has Olympic dreams or they have sporting dreams and they're almost at that level? But again, there's people who are already doing it, because we know for a fact, if you look at any sports, 90% of the people playing sports right now at a high level are on some sort of performance enhancement. That doesn't necessarily just mean like steroids, HGH, anything like that. PEDs in certain sports classify as something like Adderall, or marijuana is apparently a PED on some in some sports. So my question is, something that somebody who is trying to achieve that, who wants to level the playing field, maybe they are genetically gifted, but even with they're already genetically gifted, they can't even compete because they're so straight in their mind that they're like, well, everybody's natural, when in reality it's the complete opposite. Everybody they're up against is not.
Well, that's why they have to make it all natural, and they have to say, no, it is illegal, and we will test.
But this
We'll
is the
test
problem.
better than we do. Honestly, I mean, if the guy with the bigger bank account is the one who gets to win, then there's something wrong. On the other hand, if you look at it like in the world of ballet, not everybody can be the prima ballerina, and some little girls' lives are destroyed by the fact that they hurt their ankle at the age of 17 and feel like their life is over. Well, sometimes you just got to suck it up and you got to say, okay, I'm still an athlete. I'm still good. I may not make the Olympics. What can I do then with my life to give
Yeah,
it the
of
kind of
course.
meaning that I want?
I'll go back to your first point though. You said make everything natural, and that's hard to do because you already know, like my point is, there is tons of people in high level sports that are on PEDs without anybody being the wiser. Do you think these guys that are 6 foot, 6'2", 250 pounds playing in the NFL with, 7% body fat year round, who can bench press and squat, 700 pounds, do you think they're natural?
No, I don't. But I think they should be for the purpose of this discussion. I honestly, why are they getting away with that? And then they're being rewarded with multi-million-dollar contracts because of the fact that they cheated the system
Yeah.
to get to where they are.
But that goes with anything. I mean, there's certain athletes that they just make an example
It
of.
doesn't make it right.
It doesn't necessarily make it right, but how do we make it right? You can't say that, the problem is, I think we're so far on that side already that if you say make everything natural, you can't make that right. Unfortunately, it's just going to get to the point where you can't. Yeah. I mean, you could do better testing, you can do this and that, but there is always going to be a way to cheat the system. I think it was Icarus, right? The documentary, I think it's called, about the biker doing the Tour de France.
Oh yeah.
And he broke the Russian doping scandal. I mean,
Yeah.
do you see how far down this stuff goes into the rabbit hole? Like, it's
Absolutely.
insane. So how do you make it better, in quotations? You make it better by expanding what is legal. You just say, you know what, there's no more ban on marijuana. If you want to smoke marijuana right before the game, by all means, go ahead, because it's going to help you sleep better. Do you want to take Adderall to help you focus on the, to help you focus on your drills while you're doing whatever, blah, blah, blah. If you want to take HGH because you have a knee injury and you want to get back and healthy as soon as possible so you don't get cut from the team, you want to take testosterone so you can make sure that when you're charging through a linebacker who's 20 5 pounds heavier than you can actually maybe make it.
Why is that linebacker 25 pounds heavier than you?
In reality, he's
Because
probably
he's
about,
using as well.
well, that's it. I mean, in
So then it
reality,
just
he's
gets
probably
worse
like
and worse and
100 pounds
worse.
heavier.
So my A-bomb can take care of your A-bomb. Well, my 3 A-bombs can take care of your 4 A-bombs. It just keeps building and building. And I think that's where it's got to stop. We've got to say, look, this is the limit. Where that is, I'm not going to say, okay, to go all natural, is that possible? I don't know. Because there are things like injury, helping someone heal an injury a little bit faster. Opera singers do it too, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just the sports. But to make it normal to be using these things, to make it normal to go into a gym, we're not talking athletes here. We're talking about guys who work out 4 times a week, and they're doing a cocktail of like 5 different types of steroids because nobody's teaching them properly what to do. That's got to change. And it can only change if we start by educating the young and saying, no, this is wrong. This is not how it works. And if you are caught, you will lose your multi-million-dollar contract.
Right.
Make the stakes high enough so that if they get caught, they will lose everything. Then maybe they won't jump at the quick fix. Maybe they'll say, I need to do this more.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe it'll create a larger underground that allows them to still cheat the system. I don't know, but we have to try.
Yeah. So does that lead us into our second point then of what is the limit? So in terms of, let's say it was legal, right? PEDs would be legal.
Okay.
Shocking. So where's the limit? Where do you draw the line? I say, again, I do agree with you that yes, there is obviously an impact that trickles down to the lower level athletes and the younger kids that are like, oh man, it's, now it's legal. We can do whatever we want to do.
I'm 17. I want to use tests.
Yeah.
When my body is creating more tests than I can handle anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's definitely, I'm not agreeing with necessarily that statement. I think it's more so just at a high level, people who are high level, D1 or, not even that, maybe just NFL level, NHL level, whatever. I don't think there should necessarily be a limit because in reality, I don't think there is any at the moment. We're already seeing what we see. I mean, yeah, you get guys who are maybe taking they aren't taking as much as they test possibly could to be their optimized Steve Rogers, but they're still taking pretty much whatever they want. I mean, again, I'm sorry, but you'll look at somebody who's JJ Watt's stature, who is 6 foot something, 250 some odd pounds, 70 pounds, bench presses like 500, squats 700, looks like the tank of a man. UFC, let's talk about Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was a wrestler or WWE, and then he switched over to the UFC. The guy is an absolute monster of a man. Genetically too.
Your words say it all.
But that's it. I mean, they're obviously already doing as much. They're genetically blessed. I'm not denying that, but they're obviously on stuff too. And they're probably not really doing so much that, it would pop up on any drug test. But I'm just saying, I mean, they're pretty much doing whatever they can to make sure that they're the best.
It leads me to think about, are we trying to create an entertainment sports entity of such a high level that they become a whole other thing on their own? The way that we would perhaps, if we were trying to colonize Jupiter, allow for people to grow an extra set of lungs just to be able to deal with whatever. I don't know anything about the science of living on Jupiter. And then you create another subspecies of humanity. Right?
Right.
Is that what we're trying to do? Are we trying to create super sports figures? Or are we trying to enjoy watching men and women play a game, compete against each other? Or are they competing against the drug? And I think that you have to draw, and again, the limit needs to be drawn at 0 if you're going to stay, we are Homo sapiens. If you are going to go into this other species, then fine. Where's the limit? Why should there be a limit? What do we need these people to do So let's make them so they can.
I would say to that, yeah, you are watching a sport as an you're watching a sport for a man versus a man, a woman versus a woman. But you're not necessarily watching for the fact that I could be like, oh, I could be in the NFL. I could be in the NHL. Like, I'm not watching for that reason. I'm watching because I'm like, these guys have dedicated their entire lives to this stuff. They are genetic freaks already. They're probably on stuff. And they're going up against guys who are,
So why not just watch monster trucks?
why do we watch bodybuilding though? It's because we like to see. I mean, when you look at bodybuilding from the Mr. Olympia standpoint, the open bodybuilding class, we don't necessarily want to be them, but it is cool to see what you're able to push the human body to in terms of muscle mass. When I'm watching NFL, for example, I'm not looking at Marshawn Lynch and being like, man, I could totally run a route like he can. I'm looking at, holy crap, he just ran through 10 different guys and then was able to actually get a touchdown still. Like, I'm not watching it because I'm like, I mean, you hear it all the time, superhuman strength of so and so, or look at that superhuman speed. Like, you're watching it to see a level above what is already. I mean, it's the
I'm not
gladiator.
arguing that. I'm just arguing, is that what you want? Is that what we should be going for?
I mean, at some point, like, it'd be, I mean, for the sake of this argument, like, that's my stance is, yeah, like, you should be a level above what everybody else is. When you're an athlete at the top level, you are above the athlete who is the top at their natural
But you're
level.
not. Your drug cocktail is.
Well, I mean, sure.
That you can afford because you've gotten up the ladder and now you can afford this. Now you can afford this. And you get a better doctor, you can afford this. But the guy down here who's trying to aspire to be you can't.
Well, they have to climb the ladder too. That's it. I mean, that's my point. I mean, if you're opening up PEDs legally and you saying is there a limit, and I say no, so the top guy can do what he wants. The bottom guy has to get to that point. Whether or not, and again, I mean, you said it yourself. You know, the ballet dancer isn't good enough to be the primo ballerina. So and so down here doesn't have the blessed genetics, or maybe doesn't even have the drive to put in all the, because again, we both know this. People who are on PEDs, they're not just taking this drug and this cocktail of drugs is basically like making them superhuman. They're putting in the work and they're like working their ass off. And before they were doing that, they were working their ass off. So this guy might not even be doing that. So that's his fault. This guy up here can do what he wants. That's my side of the statement.
Okay.
That's that.
Disagree.
There you go.
I would rather see human beings competing against human beings. And then if you want the next species, then you can have all of those guys competing against all those guys. Maybe we do. There's a reason why there are natural competitions versus
open.
Well, we won't say, just open.
Just open. Yeah, exactly. So there it is, guys. This is our debate. Again, these views are not necessarily what we actually stand with. I'm pointing that out. So I just wanted to put that out. If you guys have any questions or any thing you want to ask us, by all means, drop it in the comments below. DM us on Instagram. We love to hear from you guys. Stay safe.
Stay breezy.
A little late on that one. All right, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.